The Greys and the Grid. Back in 1998, I read a paper that was talking about how the Greys had a grid around the Earth before my flat Earth knowings. Now, I don't know how long they've had it up there. Now that people know about the Greys, it's not such a shock. But they had a grid up there to keep track of everything. Come to find out now that I know about flat Earth and God's filament, which I feel bad that I didn't know before, they have the filament, their own filament, called we'll call it a bionet. It keeps track of all the comings and goings. So humans were never really in the game up until lately. So when they did become in the game, they go down there and they find out at Antarctica. They go down there and find out they're not the head honchos. That pissed them off. They went to the Anunnaki or whoever's down there, and say who's ever down there, probably a variety of people, beings, and all kinds of stuff. And they said, well, yeah, we're the United States, and you're going to abide. They're going, we're not going to abide by your laws. We own this earth. They go, no, we're the United States, see. And they go, we don't give a crap who you are. We know exactly who you are. And they go, yeah, but you don't understand. No, the Anunnaki, excuse me, said, you don't understand. So then they go back, regroup. Then they bring down their little toys. And we will just call for aliens, for sake of description. Kick their freaking ass. So they come all busted up, go back and get the whole world to go down there. And then they have a standoff. And they're going, no, you just don't get it. We own the world. And finally, the Anunnaki got it to their brains, the Americans and Russians and everybody that went down there and signed that agreement are the total enemies to the humanity. Okay, so after they said, well, they had to regroup. They're not stupid, right? They know they got endless money. They got endless time. So they go, well, not endless time, but so now they start World War II. That gives them an excuse to start the bomb up. They said, well, we're going to bomb our way over there. So they got up their butts. They started making that bomb, in which, if you know, it was an experiment on the poor Japanese people. My humble apologies, had nothing to do with it. They did one bomb. They did the hydrogen and the atom. So two separate bombs. So it was an experiment. And then the war was a little game. So under the table, all the land, money can be distributed. Things can be rearranged for the next 50 years, which we're living in right now. They had the plan. So they got that bomb all made up, got us all worked up in a frenzy to kick somebody's ass. They couldn't even pronounce the United States of America. So that gave them time to get all their stuff ready. They got the bomb kind of perfected, and then they went to town, as we all know, on our filament, God's filament. See, the Greys knew that they couldn't get through. They wouldn't be stupid enough to try to get through God's filament. They already went through that test, huh? They learned their lesson. So they said, well, we're going to put our half-ass grid up, right? And then the Americans, they went ahead, and after the World War II and everything was distributed, they put their half-ass grid up. And that's what the Cold War was all about. While they were distracting everybody with Cuba and the missiles are so close, they were practicing netting Russia. And that was the reason why they were going to send a bomb up, is so if they could see, it would test the bioweapon, the bionetting. But then, if they tested the bionetting, they would have a lot of explaining to do, Lucy. Get that? So that's why the Cold War just kind of fizzled out. They knew that wasn't going to roll. Because people started asking questions about this. How'd you, what? So then they threw up the Star Wars thing in front of us, and that was another big fiasco, because basically they're going to do anything they want to do. So that gave them time for Russia and the United States and whoever's got the fingers in the till to put up their own bionet. So this is what these people are hitting up there, is these false bionets that everybody's trying to get past. God's up there just shaking his head going, God, what a bunch of idiots. There's one thing, he cleaned out heaven of all the dorks, didn't he? And the whole problem of it is these dorks have been leading humanity like a bunch of mountain goats. And I think the Dark Ages, we just went into suspended animation. You know, they just wanted to fucking forget about us for a while. They dealt with us for 1,500 years. Put us in suspended animation. They went painted the Mona Lisa and all that bullshit. And then we just woke back up and he started asking about the Dark Age. Oh, people didn't ride. Why didn't they ride, man? You see, nothing makes sense. So that's your bionetting, and that's what our rockets are hitting. That's why they can't get. And trust me, God's filaments up there is the main thing. I don't know about all these meteorites and how gods show.